Thanks to everyone here. I'm a little starstruck seeing you guys in person as opposed to my computer screen. I'm Jason Johns, a conservation biologist with a PhD from UC Santa Barbara. I've worked in both land and ocean conservation from California to remote Micronesia. I also love to fish, and I'm a member of the Santa Barbara Freedivers Club and a volunteer board member with All Waters. I've seen MPAs work beautifully, and I've even worked on implementing them in Micronesia. And critically, these MPAs were designed and implemented by the community. They're built on objective science, led by the people who know these places the best, often the local fishers. They lead the study design, data collection, and most importantly, the interpretation of the analyses. So I read 33 with a pretty open mind, and the premise of the petition is that MPAs protect kelp. So my first question was, do they? And so naturally, I read every relevant study on MPAs and kelp in California, even found some studies that hadn't been published yet, were in preprint. I quickly learned that the story is much different than what the petitioners claimed. In fact, in the majority of cases, MPAs do not have more kelp or more resilient kelp than non-MPAs. And that's to say nothing of the issues with comparing MPAs to non-MPAs, given that MPAs were chosen because they hold a lot of life, which is a good indicator of their resilience as well. The petitioners did not mention any of this research, which means that they either didn't read it or they did read it and decided not to mention it. So the petition's premise that MPAs protect kelp is misleading. To the thousands of young college students they collected signatures from, to the dozens of scientists who signed their petition, and to the fishermen who don't have access to this research. Costs about $50 a paper often to access these papers. Scientific papers are hard to read, and the onus should be on the petitioners to clearly and completely synthesize all of the relevant biological and social science around their claims. Notably, a lot of that social science is missing. Without it, we end up with an oversimplified pro versus anti-MPA, blue shirt versus green shirt, save the whales versus save my livelihood battle, rather than a nuanced conversation based in facts. So I recommend that we follow the science, follow the department, and follow the process and deny petition 33. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak on this.